Hey, what's up you guys, it's me Luke and welcome back to another video, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I post commentary and critique and reaction videos on basically anything on the internet that interests me, ranging from pop culture to internet culture to anything in between. So if any of that interests you, then be sure to go ahead and subscribe and turn on the post notifications bell so that you never miss another upload from me. Alrighty guys, in today's video, I'm going to be reacting to your unpopular opinions again. I have a series on my channel where I've done several of these videos, so if any of that interests you, then I'll go ahead and link the playlist down below so you can go ahead and watch them. But without further ado, let's get into it because I'm about to dive in to your unpopular opinions. Let's get it. Alrighty, so first up, let's do the ones from the community tab. So the first one is, our generation is too obsessed with glowing up. I definitely agree. I think in general, our generation, Generation Z, puts too much emphasis on physical appearance and physical attraction and makes it seem like it's so much more important than it really is. I honestly think it's a lot more superficial than it needs to be. And I think that we do put an emphasis on glowing up. You see these things on TikTok of people showing their glow up from when they were younger to where they are now, and it's like, it's called puberty. You didn't really glow up. And even then, it's like, why are we so obsessed with glowing up? Like, I just think we put too much emphasis on our physical appearance. There's no glow up on like, oh my god, I've got better grades now, or I'm more mentally stable, or I have healthier relationships. It's all just like, I'm hotter now and give me praise for it, which I just disagree with. Next up is Dr. Phil is a terrible therapist and the whole concept of that show is messed up. Yes, I definitely agree with this. I think that Dr. Phil is not a good example of what a therapist is or what therapy is. I think he exploits the people that he brings onto his shows for views and for money, and I just think it's wrong, and I often disagree with the way that he handles situations. I think he's a phony, and I stand by that. Next up is, boys need to stop calling each other simps when they are just respecting women like it's the bare minimum. Couldn't agree more. I think I've spoken about simps on my channel before. I disagree with it. I think it's stupid. I think respecting women is the bare minimum. Honestly, the bar is on the floor these days because a man can just respect a woman and people can be praised and they can be praised for it, or they'll be called a simp for it when really they're just doing the bare minimum, not being a sexist prick. It's not that hard. Next one is, I'm never gonna understand how TikTokers and some mediocre YouTubers get paid so much more than doctors and other important people who are literally saving lives while these kids travel around the world selfishly because they need a break. Yeah, so this is like an emphasis on like the D'Amelio family and Noah Beck, who went traveling to the Bahamas. And Noah Beck, when spoken to about it by the paparazzi and asked why they went to the Bahamas, he just said, you know, we have a really stressful job. Sometimes you just need like a break to like detach yourself. When really it's like, no, you don't. You just stand in front of a camera and dance or gyrate and like you get millions of views for it and millions of dollars for it. When really there are doctors out there working hard to save lives who should be earning way more than you, but instead you're earning more than them for doing the bare minimum and just dancing and being a flirtatious freak for a bunch of tweens. But at the end of the day, there is a lot of money in the entertainment industry. We cannot deny that, and YouTube and TikTok is part of the entertainment industry. So unfortunately, it is what it is. Next one is, I don't like David Dobrik, and I never have ever since he became huge a few years ago. I think he's extremely average in all aspects, including his looks and personality. I respect that he does good things with his money, but I find him low-key annoying, self-absorbed, and problematic. Yeah, I've spoken about this before in one of my most recent videos about how I think that David Dobrik is really problematic and how he just exploits his friends for views and for clout, and how he makes fun of people and how he can sometimes be a bit misogynistic and even borderline racist. So yeah, I think he is very problematic and I don't agree with his videos or his actions. And just buying your friend a Tesla doesn't really mean that you're doing good with your money. Let's donate some of that money to charity, or like maybe help people at university with their debt, or help people living on Skid Row who are homeless. Like, why do we need to spend gargantuan amount of money on people who are already rich? I mean, I don't want to tell you what to do with your money, but I personally don't look at David Dobrik and be like, wow, he does so much good for the world. I just think he's just another entertainer spending a lot of money on rich people, which I personally don't find entertaining. Why am I going to find you buying your best friend a Tesla entertaining? It's beyond me. I've never really enjoyed the gargantuan pranks that happen on his channel. It's just not for me. So I agree with that one. Next one is, saying things like rail me and it looked at me first when referring to anyone's or what I've most seen to be male celebrities' genitalia is sexualization. But it's seemingly seen as okay for some reason. It's a double standard, and it's another reason why feminism exists, yet I haven't really seen it condemned. I definitely agree with this. I feel like it's become it's become somewhat normalized to comment on men's stuff on TikTok like rail me or it looked at me first, referring to their pee-pee. And I definitely see why it could be seen as a double standard, because if you commented stuff like that on a girl's TikTok, then people would have issue with it. But honestly, a lot of these guys they'll gyrate without underwear on, and it's like, what do you expect people to say? I'm not saying they deserve to be sexualized, but they're kind of sexualizing themselves. But I do understand where you're coming from in the sense that it is a double standard. I think it's just like hard for me to feel bad for them because I know that that's what they want. They want to be sexualized. That's what they're doing in order to get views. But I do think it's different when there's a guy who's just existing and people are commenting sexual stuff. Then yes, they're sexualizing him and that's wrong. I don't know. It's such a murky waters that you're like treading along when it comes to this kind of stuff. Next one is face tattoos aren't bad if they're done right. Also, hand and neck tattoos that aren't offensive or inappropriate should be normalized and shouldn't be frowned upon when applying at jobs. I've never personally seen a face tattoo that I've liked, and I can understand why like people deem them unprofessional. Same with hand tattoos. I think hand tattoos are really beautiful and aesthetic a lot of the time, but I also do see why jobs kind of, actually, I don't know. I feel like your appearance shouldn't really matter when it comes to applying for a job. But then again, I can see why you would want to be somewhat professional looking if you were like a lawyer or like a doctor or something, because hand tattoos are seen as unprofessional. I don't know, it's kind of finicky. I don't know where I lie along this opinion. I'm kind of like teetering, agreeing and disagreeing, but I guess it just depends on the situation. But I've never really seen a face tattoo that I've liked, so that part I can disagree with. Same with the neck, but the hand and neck tattoos, I'm kind of unsure about that. What do you guys think? Comment below. Next one is self-deprecating jokes shouldn't be normalized in today's society as being a normal joke. Personally, for me, those types of jokes just make everyone in the room uncomfortable, and for the person that made the joke, they are affirming negative affirmations to themselves. People will literally find any chance they can to bring themselves down when we should be bringing positivity to our flaws and not attaching a negative connotation to them. Yes, I definitely think that self-deprecating humor is kind of old, it's kind of boring, it's very stale, giving me very stale white bread. I'm over it. I think we should just start uplifting ourselves instead of constantly trying to bring ourselves down. Especially, I think it's kind of a cheap form of a sense of humor, like just commenting stuff like, I'm ugly, or like, oh my god, I'm so fat. Like, it's not funny. And honestly, a lot of the times it just comes across like you're fishing for compliments because usually you're not the thing that you're calling yourself. So let's just stop with the self-deprecating humor. I've noticed that a lot of people who used to have self-deprecating humor, like Emma Chamberlain used to be a huge person for self-deprecating humor. She doesn't really do it anymore. So I think people are starting to catch on. Next one is Megan, aka Megan Thee Stallion's team need to push music outside of TikTok because I know Megan has real bars that they got her holding out on. Her freestyles slap, but they want to push this trendy pop rap-ish, just like with Doja Cat. So much potential because of some of the girls can really rap if they weren't stuffed into a trendy, dancey, sex sells body-only box. Yes, but what's to say that Megan isn't putting herself in that box? You know, Megan is a very talented rapper, but it's her decision to constantly make these trendy, poppy, sexual songs. I mean, I guess we don't know. Her team could be making her do those things, but we don't know if it's her decision or not. But I think that's what a lot of music is these days. It's just like hyper-sexualized music, and I kind of am over it. I don't know what you guys think, but like all these hyper-sexualized songs and music videos, I just don't find them entertaining. I just find it kind of old. I know that sex sells, but for me personally, it doesn't, I guess. It's sad to see people like Ariana Grande lean more towards that route because I feel like it takes away from the vocals of the artist and just focuses on sexualizing them. And I personally am just not the biggest fan of it. So I think Megan could do better when it comes to her rapping. She could make some more meaningful rapping songs. But then again, embrace your sexuality, I guess. Next up is caffeine culture is insane. Most people shouldn't need several cups of tea or coffee a day to be a functional person. I have this argument all the time with my sister about whether or not it's like placebo effect that you feel like you need a coffee, but for me personally, I need at least 2 coffees a day to function, sometimes 3, and maybe it's ridiculous, but you know what, caffeine dependency is a real issue that we're all struggling with. Well, not all of us, but like a lot of us are struggling with, but you know what, it's a struggle that I'm willing to have because coffee is delicioso. Next one is newborn babies are actually so ugly looking. They look like old people with smaller bodies. I have to agree. I feel like it's wrong to say that newborn babies are ugly, but they're just, you know, they're just kind of like smushed looking because they, you know, just came out of a vaginal canal and they've just been sitting in water for months. So, and then their skin peels and cracks and their skin is wrinkly and saggy. They just got to come into themselves. But once they do, they're cute. Just when they're fresh, they're a little bit like, yeah, you know what I mean? Next one is Driver's License is an overrated song. Honestly, who finds it good? I can't see myself or anyone else listening to it. It's like listening to Jake Paul's Everyday Bro, ironically. Okay, I disagree with this one. I actually think Driver's License is a really beautiful song. Was it overhyped? Maybe a little bit, but it was a good song. I disagree with some people saying it's like the best song ever made. I think there's way better songs that have been made, but I do, to, you know, Olivia's credit, think it's a really good song, especially for her age. So I was really impressed with it. I think the bridge is really good at the end, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm gonna have to disagree. Next one is Sabrina Carpenter didn't deserve all the hate from Driver's License. Yes, I agree with this one. I think that Sabrina Carpenter is just a girl living her life, and just because she dated your ex doesn't mean that she deserves a bunch of hate. But then again, I don't think that Olivia intended for her to get a bunch of hate, even though she did include her in the song saying that blonde girl, and we all know who you're talking about. Next one is Rylan Adams has always been annoying. People just don't want to admit it until now. So Rylan Adams is Shane Dawson's fiance, and he's going through a lot of drama and controversy at the moment. And I do kind of see why you would say that. Like, me personally, I've never really been a fan of him. He's always just, to me, seemed a little bit like materialistic and clout chasery. But then again, I don't know him personally, so I can't speak to that. But that's just kind of the vibe that he gives off. I've never really enjoyed his energy. And yeah, I think now his energy is coming to light and people are seeing his true colors, and it's unfortunate for him. But you know what? Maybe try being a better person. Next one is, though just a kid excuse needs a limit. For example, Charlie going to the Bahamas during a pandemic shouldn't be excused because she's 16. She's old enough to know it's wrong and deserves to be called out for it as long as it's respectful and they don't attack her. Look, I do and I don't agree with this one. One, I agree that, you know, people can call her out for it and people can do so as long as it's respectful, and she should know that it's wrong to go to the Bahamas during the middle of a pandemic law. But I also think that people need to realize that she's not an adult and her parents took her on the trip, and she obviously didn't have a choice, and well, not obviously, but, and she most likely didn't have a choice as to whether or not she could have gone on the trip, because she's underage and her parents are like, we're going on the trip, so she's like, okay, I have to go on the trip. It's a very gray area, and I feel like when it comes to people who are under the age of 18 being held accountable, it should be a case-by-case basis. But I also do agree with you that this whole like they're just a kid thing is kind of stupid, because just because you're under 18 doesn't mean you shouldn't be held accountable for your actions. But when it comes to this specific situation, I think it's a little bit different, because I don't know if she would have gotten the choice whether or not to go on the trip. Okay. Next one is, I think it's rude to say someone only got famous because of their looks, no matter how true it may be. Some things are better left unsaid. I disagree. I think it's perfectly fine to say somebody just got famous because of their looks. I mean, Noah Beck, for example, we all know he's just famous because of his looks, because there's no talent there. You can't tell me what he does in his TikToks is talent. I refuse to believe it. I refuse it. He is famous because he is attractive. And that's on what? Pretty privilege. Next one is, plastic surgery isn't as big of a deal as people say it is. I'm sick of people bringing up celebrity plastic surgery every time someone mentions them, e.g. Kim Kardashian or Bella Hadid. I personally disagree with this one. I think it's important to bring up plastic surgery because it's important to know that these beauty standards are not attainable through natural causes. The reason Kim Kardashian looks the way that she looks at her age when other people her age don't is because she has had plastic surgery. She has a lot of money to keep up with her skincare, hair care, body care, all that kind of stuff. She has a lot of time to work on herself and her appearance. It's part of her job. So I think it is important to bring up these things so that people don't compare themselves to people and say like, oh, I wish I looked like that at 40, when it's like, no, the reason she looks like that is because of all the surgery and money and care and privilege that she has. That's not to say that she isn't beautiful or wasn't beautiful before, but I think it's also important to bring it up. Like when Kylie Jenner was lying about her lip filler, and everybody was like, I want lips like hers, and she's like, oh my god, like it's just because I overline my lips. Like, I think that's wrong. I don't think you should lie about your plastic surgery, and I think it's important for people to know that some beauty standards are only attainable by plastic surgery. So I disagree with that unpopular opinion. Next one is, gay white men are still white men. Being gay doesn't get you a misogyny pass, and it doesn't mean you're as oppressed / more oppressed than black people and people of color. You still benefit from the privileges society grants you. I disagree and agree with this one. I agree that gay white men still have privileges being men and being white, but I disagree that they are as oppressed or more oppressed than black people or people of color, because it's a different kind of oppression. It's not saying that one's worse than the other, but say you have a straight black man and a gay white man. The black man experiences oppression because he's black, but experiences privileges because he's straight. Whereas the white man experiences oppression because he's gay, but experiences privilege because he's white. So they're experiencing different forms of privileges and different forms of oppression. Doesn't make one worse than the other. Does that make sense? I hope so. I think it's a different kind of oppression. Alrighty guys, so I briefly interrupt this video to thank today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. You can explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. There are so many different classes on Skillshare that could interest you, ranging from graphic design, to illustration, to business, to photography, to music, to style, to fashion, to anything else in between. So there's really something for everyone on the platform. I've taken my fair few of classes on Skillshare, and recently I've been taking the portrait photography, shoot and edit your own Instagram worthy shots by Jessica Kavesi. And I've been really enjoying this course because I want to up my Instagram quality and up the Instagram pictures that I'm uploading. So I thought that this would be a really great course for me to take so that I can be a good photographer for my friends, and then I can also guide them in order for them to be a good photographer for me. Recently I learned about preparing for your photo shoot and really thinking about what time of day you take the photos, because that can really impact your style. Like for example, if you're taking photos in the middle of the day, you can get harsher lighting, or if you're taking photos at the end of the day, you can get more of a diffused look. I'm learning so much from this class, and you guys can too if you want to take it, or you can take one of the other thousands of classes that Skillshare has. And what's great about Skillshare is it's curated specifically for learning, meaning that there are no ads and they are constantly launching new premium classes so that you can stay focused and follow your creativity wherever it takes you. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. The first 1,000 of you that click the link in my description will get a free trial of a premium membership. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and let's dive back into the video. Okay, next up, let's go on to the Instagram Unpopular Opinion. So if you don't already follow me on Instagram, it's just at the Luke Alexander if you'd like to go ahead and follow me and participate in the next video. So the first one is, you are who you surround yourself with. Example, if your friends are racist, you're racist. Do and don't disagree with this. I do think you are who you surround yourself with. And sometimes you can't help who you surround yourself with. Like if your parents are racist, but you have to live with them, that doesn't automatically mean you're racist. But for example, I personally would not be friends with racist people because that goes against my beliefs and my morals. So I think if you are friends with people like that, you should really check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because those people have issues, and you don't want their issues to become your issues, and you don't want them to be a reflection of you, because there's that saying out there that you are the 5 people that you surround yourself with, and you are a reflection of who you surround yourself with, and I definitely agree with that. Next one is, I don't really like the summertime. I do agree with this one. As much as I enjoy the beach and all that, I personally enjoy winter, just because summer here in Australia is so hot, and I like getting cozy during winter, and our winters here are really not that bad. And I just feel like I can relax more in winter, I can cozy up, I can concentrate, I'm not sweating. So yeah, I prefer winter as well. I also prefer wearing winter clothing because I just love layering. Next one is, someone needs to be honest with James Charles and tell him he can't sing. I honestly don't think that James Charles is as bad of a singer as people make it out to be. Is he the bit next Ariana Grande? No. Is he an amazing singer? No. But I don't think he's a bad singer. I think he's okay. You know, I think he works on it, he puts in the effort. I don't know, I think people hate on him a bit too much when it comes to his singing. Just let the guy sing. Next one is, Joshua Bassett shouldn't have received backlash for not wanting to date a minor. So this is the guy who Olivia Rodrigo wrote Driver's License about. I don't know if he broke up with her because she was underage and he turned 18. But if that is a reason, I suppose that's a valid reason. But yeah, he shouldn't be getting hate either. No one should be getting hate, okay? In that situation, no one should, because breakups happen, they're a part of everyday life, so I don't think anyone in that situation should be getting hate. Next one is, mullets need to leave. Why they're coming back, I hate them. Guys, I spoke about this in an Unpopular Opinions video before, but no matter how hard I try, I just cannot get myself to like mullets. I still haven't seen one that I like. I can't find it. Comment down below someone who has a good mullet, because I'm struggling. I'm struggling. They just don't look good to me, and I can't help it. Next one is, marriage is BS. Why should anyone tie themselves to a relationship that could end up being temporary? I disagree with this one, because I think marriage is a holy matrimony between 2 people, and whether or not they stay together, you can't tell. People don't get married with the intention of getting divorced. So I think that marriage is still valid, I guess. That sounds so stupid to say. Marriage is valid. But I do think that it is, because, you know, it's, you know, there's something to be said about the romance and wanting to spend the rest of your life with somebody. Is the likelihood of you staying together probably low? Yes, but like, I don't think people are gonna think about that when they're getting married. Just get a prenup. I know I will. Unless I'm marrying rich. I'm kidding. Or am I? Next up, people saying don't self-diagnose have the privilege of getting professional help. I do agree with this one. I think it's a fine line. Obviously, self-diagnosing is not the healthiest thing when it comes to mental health, but also not everybody has the privilege of going to a professional, such as a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And I think people need to recognize that, you know? And also, I do think that we are all very self-aware, and we can tell whether or not we have something, as like, you know, anxiety or depression. Yes, getting a diagnosis is better, but I also think don't self-diagnose when it comes to things that are like super like specific, like bipolar or, you know, BPD or anything like that, because then, or OCD even, because then people just like slap these labels on themselves very easily. I think I just like kind of contradicted myself. You know, we're gonna move on because that one's tricky. But I do agree that not everybody has the privilege of getting professional help. So saying that you shouldn't self-diagnose is kind of negating that. Next one is shipping real people can be weird and can have effects on the people's lives and friendships. I do agree with this one, but at the end of the day, you can't help it. Sometimes you just gotta ship someone. You can keep it on the inside, but I do agree that it can negatively affect people, like when it came to Larry, Harry Styles, and Louis Tomlinson, even though I kind of ship them. What? I never said anything. Next one is straight white men need to be eradicated. You know, as funny as it is to say this, I do think that it's a rhetoric that kind of needs to be squashed, because not all, I mean most, but not all straight white men are problematic. I just think that there's a majority that ruin it for the minority, and I think that's sad. But I don't like gross generalizations when it comes to any sort of identifying group. Even when it comes to straight white men who are the most privileged in the world, I still don't like generalizing people. And yes, it's coming from a cis white man who you could say is straight passing. I'm kidding. But yeah, you could say that I'm not the one to be having this opinion. But you know what? It's my goddamn video, so I'm gonna have the opinion. Next one is Shane Dawson should not even try to come back to YouTube, and this comes from a longtime fan. I do kind of agree with this. He's had such a problematic history, and he's probably made enough money to live off of. So I think, you know what, Shane Dawson, just pack it up. Let's move on to something else, okay? That being said, I can't tell people what to do with their platform, so if he wants to come back, that's his prerogative. TikTok has glamorized sex work and sugar daddies to young people so much it's not okay, because it's very dangerous, and sex work is work, but it's not as easy as they make it out to be. I definitely think that is true. TikTok has definitely glamorized sex work and glamorized having an OnlyFans, and one, I think people don't realize that it can be mentally draining to like put yourself out there like that when you have the messages and making yourself so vulnerable and all that kind of stuff, but also it does last for your future. Like, I don't think people realize that putting yourself out there naked could affect your jobs in the future, because what's to say that OnlyFans is gonna last forever? But then also, sex work is valid work, and I think people should be treated with respect even if they make that decision. Yes, it's a controversial decision, but that doesn't mean they don't deserve respect. And that's that on that. Next one is tired of people saying they hate Jeff Bezos, but then continue to use Amazon. Practice what you preach. I agree with this one. I personally don't use Amazon because I don't agree with Jeff Bezos and the way that he runs his business, paying his employees like the bare minimum wage, if that, and he's making billions of dollars. I agree with this one. Next up is The Weeknd is overrated. All of his music sounds the same. I disagree with this one. I, back in the day, can't believe I'm even saying this, used to not like The Weeknd, mainly because of that song, I'm a mother star boy. Everybody wanna test me. Like that song, Starboy, I found that song so annoying. But his album After Hours was so flippin' good. And I have to disagree with this because I don't think all of his music sounds the same. I think The Weeknd is a really, really great artist. Moving on, what I eat in a day videos are toxic. I definitely agree with this one. I think doing recipe videos is fine, but showing people what you eat in a day, especially when it's like what I eat in a day to stay thin or what I eat in a day to lose weight, is really problematic because everybody's body is different and everybody's body needs different things. And a lot of those people can be under eating or, you know, overeating or eating the wrong things or unhealthy things. But even then, being healthy is subjective to a certain degree. So I think that what I eat in a day are unhealthy because they're promoting what you eat when I think everybody's body's different. More than often than not, the people doing the videos are not a health professional. So yeah, I do think they're toxic and I think they should be eradicated from the internet. Next one is no one should date anyone older than 4 years. I think it can create grooming. Okay, I've dated somebody that's 10 years older than me, so I'm personally gonna have to disagree with this. Yes, there's something to be said about people being in different walks of life and that affecting things. And yes, there's something to be said about people when they're 18 wanting to date like a 25-year-old, but that's 7 years. But like maybe like if you're 18 dating a 22-year-old, I mean, yes, you're in different walks of life, but I don't personally see a problem with that. Because to a certain degree, age is just a number, but I don't think you can tell people what to date when it comes to ages, and I don't think that it's considered grooming just because you're older than 4 years than them. Did that make sense? In my head it did, and that's all that matters. Moving on, TikTok fame will run out. That's true, like any fame it'll run out, but I think TikTok especially is very fleeting. I feel like YouTube fame lasts a bit longer than TikTok fame, but TikTok fame, pretty fleeting from what we've seen and from what we're going to see. I don't think these TikTokers are gonna last forever. Next up is all of the unpopular opinions from Twitter. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, definitely do so. My handle is just Luke the Lunatic, so you can go ahead and follow me there. The first one is Taylor Swift is a mediocre singer. I'm gonna have to disagree with this. I think Taylor Swift is a very talented singer. I don't think she's the most talented vocalist. I think her strengths lean more towards her songwriting abilities, but I think her as a vocalist she's very good. She's a very good vocalist. She's very talented. You can have your opinion, but it's wrong. No, I'm kidding. You can have your opinion, but in my opinion, she is definitely a good singer. Next one is influencers who sell products purposely launch with low stock so that they can say, wow, it sold out in 2 minutes, like Jaclyn Hill's launch the other day. Like they really just want to brag about how fast it sold out without discussing how many products were actually sold. This is really annoying when they have such low stock so it sells out and they can like brag about it. Just be honest. Be honest with how much stock you have, or stock it properly so that your products don't sell out. I don't understand it. Like, why would you want a small amount of products to sell out? Like, don't you want to sell a lot of products? But then I suppose they want to have it sell out because then that shows that it's like really popular and then it'll create a higher demand for the next launch. But I still think it's ridiculous. Like, just have more products, okay? Because you can sell more, you know, and you'll probably still end up selling out. Next one is Fate, the Winx Saga should be remade, and it's just on season 1. I disagree with this one. A lot of people didn't like Fate, the Winx Saga, but I personally really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. But that being said, I was never a fan of the cartoon, so I don't really have that nostalgia playing on with me. I'm not really like fixated on if it was accurate to the cartoon. I was just watching it as a show, and I personally really enjoyed Fate, the Winx Saga. I just wish it was longer. Like 6 episodes was not enough. I love Tara so much. I think she's such a little cutie pie. Next up is Miley Cyrus has the best music and voice of all the Disney girls, and it isn't even close. I do agree with this one. If you don't know, I made a whole video ranking and comparing the Disney stars, and Miley Cyrus came out on top for the singing abilities because she does have the best vocals out of all the Disney gals. You cannot deny it. She is so talented. She's possibly one of the most talented singers of our generation, and that's that on that. Next one is Harry Styles is just a 21st century David Bowie or Elton John. Cool guy, but slightly overrated. Someone says he's very cool, but I think he's praised for things that have been done before, like the people you mentioned, and plus people like Billy Porter. Hear me out. I love Harry Styles. I love his style. I love the fact that he's like F toxic masculinity and just does what he does and does what he do. But I do think that if Harry Styles wasn't this attractive white guy, he wouldn't be praised as much for what he does. I mean, just look, like Billy Porter isn't praised as much as him, even though Billy Porter does more when it comes to, you know, wearing feminine stuff and saying F you to the toxic masculinity standards. So I think he wouldn't be as popular when it comes to that if it wasn't for the fact that he was a white, attractive man. But you know what? I digress. I still love Harry Styles and I love his style. Next one is, even though Trisha Paytas has gone through a lot these past few weeks or whatever, she is still an extremely problematic person who has offended many groups of people. I do agree with this one. I think a lot of people are forgetting how problematic Trisha Paytas is because people are like sympathizing with her because of how badly she's been treated recently. And I think that that's okay in of itself, but I do think we also need to remember that she is really problematic herself and we can't negate that. But then again, how do you constantly like keep that up? Like, you're just gonna remind her how problematic she is? I don't know. The internet is a tricky place when it comes to like holding people accountable. Next one is, I hate when people romanticize being LGBTQ+. Like, coming out is difficult and scary, and it can be really difficult to find a relationship. I also don't like how most LGBTQ movies are focused on coming out. Yeah, being in the LGBTQ community is not easy. I am bisexual, so I'm a part of the community, and it's not an easy thing, and coming out isn't easy either. So I think people need to recognize that. But also, yeah, have movies where people are out already, and the whole movie isn't about coming out, because I think that that's really frustrating. Just like how having shows about POC when the show is centered around the fact that they're POC is annoying. Like, why can't POC or, you know, LGBTQ plus people just exist? You know, why does it always have to be about their identity? I mean, I'm not saying you should completely ignore their identity, but don't make the whole show about their identity. Also, just have them existing would be nice. But then I also suppose that in life, sometimes as an LGBTQ plus person, you don't get the privilege of just existing. Sometimes you have to like explain yourself and defend yourself and experience oppression. So I think that it is a bit of a tricky situation. Next one is, celebrities have the right to privacy and paparazzi shouldn't be allowed to stalk celebrities just to get a picture. I agree. I see a lot of this rhetoric around that people who are famous chose to be famous and they need to deal with the consequences of that. But I think that famous people should still be allowed the privilege or the right of privacy, and that includes not having their children photographed against their will, or not being stalked or followed just to have their photos taken. I think it's very degrading, and I'll never agree with paparazzi or their behavior. Especially like, why can't paparazzi treat celebrities the way they treat influencers? Because the way they treat like YouTubers and TikTokers is so nice, but then the way they treat celebrities is so wrong. Maybe it's because the TikTokers and the YouTubers talk to the paparazzi, unlike the celebrities, so they respect them more. I don't really know. Next one is aesthetics are dumb. Why shouldn't we have to label our taste and style, and why can't we just like all sorts of things? At this point, it seems like it's people's personality trait. Yeah, I don't see the point in like needing to label your aesthetic, especially like saying like, what's your style? Like, I never know how to answer that question. Or like, what's your aesthetic? Like, beyond me. I just think, why can't we just like dress the way that we dress or like the things that we like without needing to put a label on it? I feel like society is obsessed with labels, and it's really frustrating. Just exist, honestly. Next one is to stop being friends with someone just because of politics is immature. My family has a very diverse range of political views, and I love them all so much, even the ones that support Trump. We have a lot of fun together despite our differences, and I treat them the same. I disagree with this one because I think that having friends who have a completely different political belief to you when it comes to like people's morals, people's beliefs, people's human rights, then how could you be friends with somebody who is so wildly different from you? Because usually people are friends because they have common interests or common beliefs or morals. So I just personally disagree with this one. Like, I would not be friends with somebody who believed that I didn't deserve to marry a man if I fell in love with a man, or if a trans person didn't deserve the same rights as a regular person. If you believe that, then I wouldn't want to be friends with you because that goes against my morals and beliefs. So I personally don't understand how you can be friends with somebody who goes against everything you stand for. That's that on that. And that's, you know, if you can be friends with whoever you want to be friends with. And I'm not saying your political beliefs need to be the same. I'm just saying when they're so wildly different, that's when I would struggle to be friends with the person. Next one is people are allowed to not be attracted to things. You don't have to be attracted to everything, and it isn't, for example, if someone isn't attracted to a person of color, it doesn't make them a racist unless it's a hateful way. I think that, yes, who you're attracted to you can't help, but saying you're not attracted to a whole race is probably racist and something that you need to unpack. Anyway guys, that's it for me in this video. I hope you enjoyed these unpopular opinions that I reacted to. And yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below your thoughts. Comment down below any unpopular opinions you have. Let's get messy in the comment section below. And if you've not already, please make sure you subscribe and turn on the post notifications bell so that you never miss another upload from me. And all my social media is linked down below if you'd like to go ahead and follow me, as well as a link to my second channel, my link to my podcast, my link to my merch, and my link to my Cameo if you'd like to go ahead and book me. And thank you so much to Skillshare once again for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to click the link in the description to check them out and get your free trial. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see my next one. And as always, I hope that you have a great day or night wherever you're in the world. Bye!